Hello, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. My name is Theresa Bobrowsky, and I am a travel specialist at Departures Travel in Sidney, BC on Vancouver Island. And this is the fourth in a four-talk series related to an art, wine, and design safari I will be hosting in Cape Town, South Africa, September 13th to the 24th, 2021. And this is just to talk about how you can optimize your time in South Africa, given the journey to get there. So with this, I will begin. During the session, if you have any questions, or even after the session, you can email me at teresa@departurestravel.com. At the end of the session, I will review my email to see if there are any questions. And if not, the session will end. And if you do have a Departures Travel consultant you have worked with or are working with, please let me know in your email and I will contact them after the session, or alternatively, contact them directly for assistance, and anything they can't answer, I will discuss with them and get an answer to you. The presentation will cover a brief recap of the first three talks. Why do a pre and post add-on, some considerations, and I'm going to go through the 9 provinces of South Africa to give you an idea of what's there. And please keep in mind that I've given some choices, but it's not exhaustive. So if you don't hear something you're interested in, please follow up. And then the obvious is a wildlife safari. A lot of people go to South Africa for that. And then I will quickly touch on the Rovos train travel. This is luxury train travel, and a lot of people do go to South Africa for this. And then just how and when to book activities, and then I'll close off the talk. So the completed talks to date, talk 1, it just discussed the safari in general. Highlights from the itinerary were presented by the supplier I'm working closely with in South Africa, in Cape Town. And as well, I covered the inclusions, exclusions, and some general information about the tour program. This was followed with a talk about the travel landscape, and this was in reference to COVID-19 and some of the challenges. For example, this tour was going to be September 2020, and that is not the case any longer. And then again, in consultation with the supplier in Cape Town, I put together information about the protocols that are underway and how the tour program will continue to evolve to meet any CDC or World Health Organization requirements, should there be anything remaining in place in September 2021. And then talk 3 was about optimizing your leisure time. Very intentionally with the supplier in Cape Town, we made sure there was enough leisure time where people could go out on their own and really explore and sort of do their own thing. Once in Cape Town, if you've not been, when you get there, you'll realize just how vibrant and rich this city is in things to do and see. It's something for everyone. And then I just talked about best times to book and how to go ahead with bookings. And so why do a pre or post add-on? South Africa is remote in terms of, especially if you're going from the west coast of North America. So you're spending all this time to get there. So it's maximizing your time while you're there. It's very easy to build out this tour to include some activities before or after that might focus on a different theme or elaborate on the theme of art, wine, and design. Optimizing the travel budget as well while in South Africa, because really, once you've gone to South Africa, there's a good chance you're really going to want to go back again. So it's taking advantage of the cost of your flights and the travel effort, and making that trip a bit longer and maybe doing a few extra things. And again, when you get into South Africa and many places in Africa, you encounter opportunities that are simply not available elsewhere in the world to the degree they are in South Africa. You know, the wildlife safari is one that really is sort of key. And then just delving deeper into South Africa, there is so much to see and do that it makes sense to look at what else can you do while you're there. And then leveraging the location to achieve other travel goals. I'm staying focused on South Africa. However, there are so many other destinations nearby, like Namibia, Tanzania, Kenya, the Maldives, the Seychelles. So do you have other travel goals? And many people do have a travel goal to do a wildlife safari in Africa or to do a luxury train tour in Africa. So very, very doable from Cape Town. And then just in general, tourism is very well developed in South Africa, and there's a lot of very good quality options. So the sky is the limit if you have the time. So considerations in planning pre or post add-ons. Planning early is key. Contrary to what people might think about travel in 2021, particularly if you're getting into sort of mid-year and later on, travelers are booking. Travelers are stir crazy and they're just waiting to be able to pull out their passports. So things may not be available if people wait too long. And then custom experiences can be created at all price points. A lot of people, for example, feel that wildlife safaris are for the rich, they cost a lot. That is one of the possibilities. However, you can camp and do a walking safari. There are safaris that meet all price points, all travel types of preferences. You can use a plane and go from reserve to reserve, or you can, again, a small vehicle with a guide, or you can travel with a group. There's just numerous options. And then just one thing to keep in mind, guests that are organizing their own pre or post tour options, it's just a case of making sure that anything that you arrange on your own aligns to the Art, Wine, and Design Safari. Really, it's very easy because there's sort of a start date, end date, and it's very easy to manage around that. And the program starts in Cape Town, and we're based in Cape Town for a number of days. So if there are any delays in that, there should not be much disruption to a person who arrives late. And then planning now for over a year out, it makes it easier to manage budget, make arrangements and that. So it really is a great way to optimize that time once you're in South Africa. So as I mentioned, I'm going to go through the 9 provinces of South Africa and just briefly touch on some of the things that are available and that can be done. So I'm going to start with the Western Cape because that's where we will be starting in Cape Town. And I'm going to jump all the way across to the northeast to Limpopo and Mpumalanga provinces. And it will make sense once I get going. So with that in mind, okay, the Western Cape, this is the Art, Wine, and Design Safari is exclusively in the Western Cape province. We will see landscapes, we'll get into wine country, we'll be in this very beautiful city of Cape Town, visiting galleries. We can go up to Table Mountain if we so choose. We'll visit the very adorable penguins on Boulder Beach and enjoy time there. So you'll really be able to immerse yourself in the city and the area. And then we look at the next provinces, Limpopo and Mpumalanga. This is where a lot of people go for wildlife safaris. And as mentioned earlier, they're from camping to exquisite luxury. Really, the sky is the limit in terms of what you'd like to do. We will be in South Africa during the dry season. May through September is the dry season. And when you go over into this area, these 2 provinces, what you are experiencing is you'll be participating in wildlife safaris with unfenced borders onto Kruger National Park if you don't go right into Kruger National Park. And this ensures that the animals have freedom. There are some safaris that are completely fenced, which really is a zoo without cages. And the predator has an advantage over some of the animals. So to get over to this area of South Africa, it is about a 2.5-hour flight from Cape Town to Hoedspruit. And this, from here, you can go into, there's a couple bigger nature reserves, Timbavati, Manaleti, or you can go down into Sabi Sands, which a lot of people are aware of. And again, the budget is you can really control your budget and not miss out. And so in keeping with the theme of a safari, I just wanted to show a few pictures and one quick video. And it's the Big Five. It's very exciting, to say the least, when you go on a wildlife safari in Africa. It's indescribable. So the Cape buffalo, I was very fortunate. We saw them. We didn't see many, but we did see them. And of course, elephants, they are so charming as long as they're not angry males during mating season. It's a great thing to see. The rhinoceros, we had one that was quite playful around our vehicle, as playful as a rhinoceros can be, but they were quite curious of our vehicle, and so we got very close-up views. And this is a video, it's of a leopard, and they have a kill up in the tree. I'm just going to play it's just very brief. And the leopard is discarding the pieces that they don't eat. And the one thing not seen in this video is there are hyenas below. And what I learned is I would love to have the patience of a hyena, because they are remarkably patient. Over a period of 3 days and 6 drive-bys of this area, the hyenas were waiting for the leopard to finish with this kill, and they would do cleanup on the rest. And this was really quite funny. This is one, there were about 8 of these lions lying in the tall grass, and they were snoozing, and they all had these big bellies, and they were sort of almost purring, and they were stretching and yawning, and and really you're sitting just not that far away, and these are lethal creatures. And so it was a real interesting to see them this way, really quite vulnerable. And then there's just a multitude of other animals. Again, the hyena, an incredible creature, not the most attractive, but they are fascinating animals. The giraffe are just so elegant. And the area we were in this time, there were quite a few lions, so we didn't see a lot of giraffe. They tend to avoid anywhere where there are a lot of lions. A kudu, and these capuchins, they were trying to break into the accommodation my husband and I were in. They were quite hysterical. They were throwing the pillows from the outdoor chairs into a little pool, a dunk pool we had, and just really creating chaos outside. So they were fascinating to watch. And then vultures, contrary to people saying when they see these vultures circling in the sky, it's not always because there's a kill below. They just ride the thermals as when the heat gets up in the day, because they need to wait for that heat to get the lift they need. And then the wildebeest, these are just wonderfully funny creatures. Again, you need to see this in real life to truly understand and get the feeling of the safari. So we've done the safari, so now we're heading a bit back west to Gauteng province, and this is where Johannesburg and Pretoria are. And a very significant site is the World Heritage Site, the Cradle of Humankind, and there's Sterkfontein Caves and Maropeng Center, and they're famous for the fossil finds and for exhibits on the evolution of humankind. This is like sort of the place. It's absolutely the place to go for this type of information. Very well respected internationally, beautiful site, and worth the time and effort. And then in Johannesburg, Soweto, which is a southwestern township, this is where you go to really sort of develop a better understanding about the struggles during apartheid and the anti-apartheid movement. And it's also Nelson Mandela lived here, and so on Vilakazi Street. So Nelson Mandela's house is here from when he was in this area. And then the Apartheid Museum, it's considered to be the best record in the world for the information and documentation around the rise and fall of apartheid. So if this is history you're particularly interested in, this is a really superb opportunity for you. And then KwaZulu-Natal province. This Durban is the largest city in this province, and the Nelson Mandela capture site is a place you can visit and do a day trip from Durban. And the museum, I was there last year or earlier this year, and I visited this museum, and it had just recently opened the new museum there. It's not a place kids would do really well in because it really is about stopping and reading and sort of reflecting on what you're seeing. So beautifully done. I highly recommend it. And then there's a pathway, and it's called the Long Walk to Freedom. And at the end, you see this beautiful art installation that when you stand in a particular spot, you see the face and head of the late Nelson Mandela. So really a touching place. And from there, you can go. Dolphins are abundant in this area of the world, and in Plettenberg Bay, you can go, do some coastal activities. And a lot of people go and look at the dolphins, see the dolphins. There's all kinds of tours related to this, and they really are quite plentiful. And then Luluwe Mfolozi Park. I hope I've pronounced that properly. I was practicing earlier today. But this is the oldest sort of self-declared protected area for rhinos. And there are day trips from Durban. And I haven't been to this park, but again, this is somewhere if you are really tight on time and a full, safari may not be in the cards for you, this might be a way to get to see rhinos in the wild. And then along the coast in KwaZulu-Natal province, they have beautiful beaches, year-round sunshine. And right in Durban, there is an area that's being developed, a waterfront area, and it has beautiful walkway along the beachfront. And this beach is stunning. And it's all developed. There's like cafes and shops, and that it's sort of a place you can go and spend the day between the beach and the restaurants and shopping. It's very modern and quite nice. So I spent an afternoon there and really had lots of fun. And then the Drakensberg Mountains, there is an abundance of rock art in South Africa. And so if you have an interest in archaeology and that, this is somewhere you could go and see some rock art. And then it's just a beautiful area of the country. Like the landscape is quite remarkable all over. So in addition to the rock art, you would probably get in some nice hiking in that as well. And you can take in, there's Zulu cultural villages where you can go and learn about the Zulu culture, how they lived, and sort of get a better understanding of some of the cultures of South Africa. And more, like, again, this is just sort of scratching the surface of the opportunities available. And the Free State province, this is the agricultural area, the breadbasket of South Africa. Very very interesting area of the country to go into. And there's a town of Clarence, and this is where the locals go, the sort of weekend getaways or midweek getaways. So there's like lots of galleries and restaurants and lots of things to do to keep you sort of amused and entertained for a few days. And the one thing, Golden Gate Highlands National Park, very, very well known for hiking and bird watching. So if you are at all interested in bird watching, this would be a great area to get to. And it's just quite spectacular, the scenery. I've just grabbed sort of a typical scene or well-known scene from the park in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And then if you're interested in sort of the landscape and ancient meteors, there's the Vredefort Dome. It is another World Heritage Site. It's a meteor impact site that's 300 kilometers in size. And the one thing they built into it now is that that's somewhere where people go to do adrenaline sports. But again, you can take the sort of the geological or historic piece to it. And this site stretches out into other provinces as well. But this area is particularly known for fossils, and it's possible to do touring specifically around fossil hunting and learning about the fossil history in this area. So again, great opportunity to really learn from an historic, ancient, and archaeological record. So the Northwest Province. So this is, again, there are some game reserves in this area, and you can do hot air balloon rides over them. And I know they usually run around $400 per person, so a little bit pricey, but all the clients that I've sent to Africa and that have done this have said it was the highlight of their safari. So again, just something different to do. And then there's another heritage site, the town, it's fossilized skull of a hominid child, 2.5 million years old. And it also, again, very significant sort of with the sort of evolution of the human being, and the Vredefort Dome as well. Again, this is where some of the sites cross provincial boundaries, and you can access them from a couple different provinces. And then for the adrenaline junkies, you can do the Megalisberg Canopy Tour. It's a 2.5-hour zipline tour, and quite wonderful. And while you're doing this, you will have someone who is able to speak to the wildlife, the fauna and flora that you're seeing. And so just something fun to do. And the safaris here, you can fly into a couple of them. Actually, a lot of the safaris you can fly into if you are really pressed for time and you're able to pay for this if you have the budget for it. So again, it just sort of cuts off the time to get to some of the safari areas, but really none of them are too far. And then for whatever reason in the Northwest Province, they have crocodiles, so they have cage diving with crocodiles. So not something, I don't think I'd be quite brave enough to do that, but for the brave of heart. And then in the Northern Cape Province, this is really quite remote compared to some of the other areas. And you have the Richtersveld Transfrontier Park, and it spans right into Namibia. And it's focused on the conservation, just plants, animals, landscapes. It's quite remote. And then there's the Goigap Nature Reserve, and it's known for the florals. And I've got a picture in the bottom left-hand corner of the slide. And this is at its prime right before the Art, Wine, and Design Safari starts. So this is something that, if it is of interest, would you'd be in South Africa at the right time to enjoy this. And they have natural hot springs, and some are attached to hotels, some are public. There's, again, cave art. So this is something, again, South Africa is known, it has so much and it's of such high quality. So if this is of interest to people, you would really benefit and take advantage of being in South Africa. The only thing with the Northern Cape province, it is more off the beaten path, and you need to be a bit more self-sufficient. If you decide it's something you do on your own, like a self-drive, you have to take a lot of extra steps to make sure you have water, you have access to power. You're not guaranteed to have steady access to electricity, for example. So if you're relying on electronics for navigation or just to remain in touch with people, you need to be ready to take care of everything on your own. Okay, and now the Eastern Cape. This is literally just east of the Western Cape province, and Humewood Beach has blue flag status, so ecologically this beach is pristine. It's near Port Elizabeth. It's well used by the locals, and if you really want to just get away and have a beach holiday before or after, this would be a really great choice, although you could still find great beaches very near to Cape Town. And then the Kimbedu National Park, it's famous for the dolerite pillars. In the on the screen you can see there's one image, and so if you're into landscapes, geology, hiking, this is a really great park to spend time in. And then the Tsitsikamma National Park, it's on the Garden Route, and it has coastal features and inland features, so sort of satisfies a lot of different interests. And the Garden Route, you can leave Cape Town and do the Garden Route either on an organized tour, a private tour, group tour, self-drive, lots of options. And the Garden Route it's like an iconic route that people come to South Africa to do while they're in Cape Town or elsewhere in the country. And then Storms River Gorge, another adrenaline junkie space. And, it's like kayaking, all kinds of different water-based adrenaline options. And the Eastern Cape is the birthplace of Nelson Mandela. And should it be of interest to you, it is now possible to visit Nelson Mandela's grave in the country, or the small town where he was born. So this, for those that have followed Nelson Mandela through his life and history, it's an option. And then one other option, Jeffreys Bay has world-class surfing. They have competitions here, and you can go take some surfing lessons here should you be inclined to do that. And now I've run quickly through the 9 provinces, and just to follow up the luxury train travel, again, a lot of people actually travel to South Africa and Africa to do some of this luxury travel. And you can do a short trip right from Cape Town to Pretoria. And then if you want to build off of that, you can do a round trip Pretoria and get into Zimbabwe. You can do game drives, you can see Victoria Falls. There are again, options for this. Needs to be booked well in advance, and it is a luxury option, so there is a price tag attached to that. And again, you can sample it with a short trip, or if you have the time and means, you can do something much longer. You can even get up into Ethiopia and beyond. So when and how to book your add-ons, should you decide to go and do a pre or post? The planning should really start soon. You need to really consider, how do you want to travel on your pre or post add-on, private, group, self-directed. And then budget, moderate, or luxury. And then we can start looking at the options, and a tailored program can be developed in collaboration with you and booked for you. Obviously, there is the option of doing this on your own as well. And then for wildlife safaris, they are extremely popular, and a lot of the lodges, they're not like big hotels in North America. You go to a private game reserve or nature reserve, and they might have 10 accommodations available only, for two, so 20 people. And so you do really have to think about what you want and look at availability now, because these are things that book up quite quickly. So it's something you don't want to take a second choice. And then because of the uniqueness of all these tour opportunities, they are so unique. When people travel to South Africa, they're booking all this stuff in advance. They don't want to miss it. And until more is known about COVID-19 and the travel landscape and how it looks a year from now, none of us know. But we do know that right now, the focus on making travel safe is also reducing capacity of everything. So where maybe they were able to sell like 100 tickets for something, pre-COVID, going forward until more is known and, there's a vaccine and all the things around COVID, maybe they're only able to sell 50 tickets. So to something like just some, whatever we can imagine. So keep that in mind, because tickets and access to sites and that is currently will be limited or reduced. So I've spent the last 4 weeks going over a number of aspects of the Art, Wine, and Design Safari and how you can create a bigger holiday or do add-ons. So I guess in closing, all you've got to do is decide to go, and the hardest part is over. And then the planning and the real fun begins, and the anticipation. So with that, I would like to thank you for attending, and for any of you who have attended or gone back in and watched some of the previous videos, I appreciate your time. And I'm going to just take a look at my email right now and see if there are any questions. And if not, I will end the session. And again, I thank you for your time and effort. And I will just see, no, I don't see anything. So thank you. And if you want to reach me, again, Theresa@departurestravel.com by email, or you can reach me through the Facebook page. Thank you, everyone.